I'm a gamer.
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 Hey guys, this is Audrey bringing you episode 4 of the Hitchhiker's Guide to Gaming. This week's topic is diversity in characters, which people took a bunch of different ways. We've got people who are looking at main characters, secondary characters, whether they're just present or whether they're equal to, your typical white 30-year-old male with the scruffy look. So here's what everyone had to say about diversity in characters.
I don't think that the lack of diversity in games is something that's necessarily game-specific. I mean, if you look at the blockbuster films that have come out this year, I can't remember what any of them were, but if you look at them, I'm sure there aren't many that don't have attractive white male lead characters. Not like the really popular ones anyway, you might have an odd obscure one which doesn't, but generally speaking. I think that's because those films tend to kind of make money, and the gaming industry sort of still in its developing phases has seen that these films and things have more success perhaps than more diverse characters would, and they kind of trying to grow as an industry, so they need to do that as well. Whereas we do see perhaps more diversity in films and books than we do in games, I think that's largely because games are still a young industry and they kind of need to grow and mature a bit. I think the success of games like Portal, and maybe not to the same extent, but the relative success of Mirror's Edge and the sort of newer Tomb Raider, which has a more realistic character design, we're starting to see a shift away from the stereotypical tough guy white male lead. And it's happening slowly, but I think it is starting to happen. And as this process continues to go along, I think we'll see more diversity in general. At least, I hope so.
I personally feel that diversity in games and the gaming culture is important to everyone. We don't see many female leads, we don't see many black character leads or Asian character leads, etc. We don't see a lot of ethnic and cultural backgrounds, or even, I hate to say it, female backgrounds for many of the characters. RPGs do tend to have the female option, and you can create your own race, and that's a step in the right direction, but we need to see more of it. And a lot of developers don't realize there is a market for various cultural backgrounds and ethnic backgrounds. So having that diversity would help us all see through the eyes of a number of different cultures and bring the gaming community together, in my opinion.
There's a wide variety of characters in games. Think of all the silent protagonists that we can customise in any way that we want. Then, what about all the other characters, the ones we have no choice over? There's such diversity, we have so many characters, that we're spoilt for choice. In fact, there's so much diversity that whole new races and species of creatures and intelligent beings have been created. From being the superpowered president of the United States in Saints Row 4, to being a vulnerable 20-odd-year-old in Tomb Raider, a junior systems analyst in Left 4 Dead, to a bandicoot called Crash.
When it comes to demographics in video games, whether it's ethnicity, whether it's gender, sexuality, whatever you want to focus on, I tend to think that there's a pretty good spread of just about everything. I mean, if you look at games like Sleeping Dogs, completely centered and focused around Chinese culture, very well represented. You've got games like Grand Theft Auto, which might not necessarily focus very well on certain demographics, but you can't deny that in the Grand Theft Auto games there isn't a plethora of demographics, of sexualities, of races and genders, and all these other things. They're all pretty much represented in the game, not necessarily always in the best way, but they are there. You look at female characters, which some people may dog in the fact that there's not enough female characters, but we have games like Tomb Raider. We have games that just came out, like Beyond Two Souls, that has a female lead. And I know there's plenty others. And I don't really feel like there's many areas that are actually lacking in a lead character or even supporting characters that don't represent certain demographics.
Diversity in characters in games is kind of tricky, how I see it. You need to have diversity, and we don't get a lot of it. You look at the majority of games that have a single protagonist, and you've got white dudes everywhere. Or you've got a game where you've got a party of people, and usually what that one looks like is white dude, white dude, white dude, ethnically different dude, chick, and that's your party. And there's always some reason you don't want to play as the ethnically different dude or the chick. They usually have some kind of a hindrance, and you don't end up playing as them anyway. And sometimes you don't even get both of those. Sometimes you just get an ethnically different chick, and they just cover both the bases at the same time. And that is not real diversity. That is diversity for the sake of diversity and just trying to appease everyone who bitches about diversity. What we need to get real diversity is we need to really start seeing it in those games that have a single protagonist. And we need to see that lead be something other than the white dude with the sandy brown hair and the rugged jawline. And that's what we really need for diversity, is you need someone to be just as strong no matter what their outer shell looks like.
I could go on about diversity forever. So, to spare you that, I'm just going to talk really briefly about a bunch of different things. One is females in games, and females particularly as leads in games. And if you want to get even more particular, females as strong leads in games. So, you do have Lara Croft. You know, the new Tomb Raider came out this year. In a couple of the big games this year that came out, you've got main characters who are female, and who are strong females, but it does feel like it pales in comparison, at least with the big games, it feels like it pales in comparison to how many males you get. And then on top of that, you have this issue of race and ethnicity. You know, you do have Grand Theft Auto 5, which one of the 3 main characters is a black man, and that's great, but, you know, Grand Theft Auto is also a lot of criminals, and so I don't know that that's necessarily the best representation of someone who's non-white. I think of Walking Dead in particular, the Telltale version, and you know, you've got Lee and Clem, who are your 2 main characters, and they're both black, and they're really strong, well done, well designed characters. You've got a lot of nuance there, which is really great, and I wish that we saw more of that. I mean, you have a million different issues with this, but another issue would be the LGBT community. So when was the last time that you can remember playing as a gay, bisexual, or transgendered character? Because I can't think of any. And I can't really think of anything in what I've played that's a good representation of that community. So that's episode 4, guys. As always, you know where those comment and like and subscribe buttons are. Click those. You can also check out below both our group page, there'll be a link down there, as well as the Rooster Teeth profiles of everyone who contributed today. So, tell us what you think. Thanks for watching.
This is like the 5th time I'm recording this. I can't talk right now. Words are hard. I don't understand what's wrong with my brain. Okay, we're good. We're gonna be professional now. It's okay.